So our next question is, how much of my income should I be investing? Lee, what are your
Yeah,
thoughts?
absolutely. So, and this is a very personal one. It's impossible for me to say, well, I could make the opposite argument as well, but it if I said, hey, you should invest, $5,000 of your income every single year, that might be extremely easy for one person to do and next to impossible for someone else. So we also have to kind of qualify that. And while we're on the dollars topic, just in case you guys don't know out there, there are contribution maximums that you can make. And I'm again taking this more in the IRA route, but you're allowed to contribute $6,000 at least in the year 2022. It was the same in 2021, I believe, as well. You can contribute up to $6,000 each year to an IRA. And that's if you're under 50 years old. If you're over 50, you actually get an additional $1,000 that you can invest each year. So that'd be seven. But what I would say is to have a plan. I think, and I'm going to mess up the saying, so I'm not even going to try to say it. But if you're going about something and you don't have a plan, you're like, what are you even doing? And I'm paraphrasing a lot, but in my opinion, I'm a very plan-oriented person, so it's easy for me to say that. But at the same time, you have to have a plan. Whether it's and to somewhat correlate to the last question about inflation. Say you put, I don't know, 10% of your income each year or each month into an investment account, whether that's an IRA or not. That 10% might be easy to do now, but as inflation creeps up and the cost of goods that you're typically spending day by day and just in your daily lives, if those increase, then you might not be able to invest as much. So I would just say have a plan and do your best to stick to it. There's always going to be certain things that are going to make it more challenging than others, but I don't know many people that have had just an extremely easy life.
Yeah.
um, and and I don't think there's a ton else to say about that. Again, I wanted to take this slightly out of context and just allow people to understand, if they didn't already, that there are maximums to IRAs. There's a whole nother rabbit hole we could go down with IRAs that we won't today. But that's just my opinion, I guess.
Yeah, no, I'm totally right there with you on this one. We got to find some questions where we're actually going to disagree. Otherwise, people are going to think we're just always singing kumbaya over here. But no, for this one, I'm right there with you, man. I the way that I like to, and I have to be careful about this. I don't want to again get into the area of giving advice, right? That's not what I'm here to do. But if you really understand how the law works in terms of taxes and what you're subject to, what you're qualified for, what you're not qualified for, what makes sense to me for the average person making less than $125,000 a year is you got to max out your Roth, right? That's the first milestone you got to hit. Maxing out your Roth IRA, which currently for 2022 contributions is $6,000 a year. That's what Lee was talking about. You got to max that out first, which if you do the math, turns out to be $500 a month. So I like to keep things simple. I'm a lazy guy by nature, so I like simple stuff. So until I can hit the point personally, right, managing my savings and expenditures and my rent, my car, all that kind of stuff, and until I'm at the point where I can hit $500 monthly contribution to my Roth IRA, I'm not really looking at anything else. I'm not really ready to trade options and forex and get into all this risky behavior. Unfortunately, the reality is, especially with internet marketing the way that it is now, most people do the opposite. Most people are like, oh, $500 a month. Let me go sign up for this online course where I could turn $50 into $50,000 in 4 seconds. Let me do that. All right. And I'm exaggerating, obviously, to make a point. I think that there's so much of that temptation out there that we get enamored with it. I'll be the first to admit that I've been caught up in that. But fortunately, I was also kind of raised in this kind of like hedge fund world, this iFlip world, where I got a lot of good advice or good mentors to follow, good models to follow before I got even exposed to any of that get rich quick stuff. So I kind of was able to, resist the temptation better than most. But I think that's the first milestone you gotta hit. And to keep things simple, don't even look at anything else until you can do that. And fortunately, one of the best places to open a Roth is iFlip, because we're gonna leverage cash as a position. We'll get into all of that in a little bit, but with iFlip, you're able to avoid market crashes like Neo dodges bullets in the Matrix. Like we've been doing it for 5 years now. 3 crashes, we've dodged every single one of them. You want that for your Roth, for your long-term growth. It'll compound drastically better by doing it that way. Lee, do you have anything else you want to add to that?
I think the nail's been hit pretty hard, but just the last thing, I mean, I would add in the importance of what Aaron is talking about, maxing out an IRA if you can. You just can't make up for lost time in those. Like we've talked about, there's, maximums you can put in every year. You can't, wait 5 years from now and say, hey, I've got a lot of money now, I'm gonna put 50K into my IRA. It doesn't work like that. So that's why we talk about having the plan. We talk about putting, taking care of your retirement first. You might have heard people say pay yourself first as well. So I mean that's about it. But yeah, you're right. We do need to find a question we can disagree on, so we're not just sitting on the same side of the fence.
Yeah. So the challenge is for everybody out there. Put some questions or comments below in the comment section below for anything that you think Lee and I might disagree on. Right. That might be one of the challenges over there. But in all seriousness, if you have any kind of follow-up questions or any kind of comments about how you decide how much of your income you dedicate for your investment account, please let us know. We'd love to hear your thoughts.